There's a thing from bodybuilding.com. They said on license plates, it says eat, train, sleep, repeat. Eat, train, sleep, repeat. And that's what we do. That's the whistle. That means there's a hurting about to happen. All right, leg extension. We did 12 total sets. We did a variety of things. You know, first thing we did a set of 30 and a set of 20. High rep, intense. We didn't take any rest in between them. From there, we went into progressives. What progressives are partial reps into full reps. We did it from the concentric position and the eccentric position. The purpose of that is to make sure the muscle is thoroughly worked from insertion to origin. From there, we went to static holds. Static holds are a way of maximizing muscle fiber recruitment, creating tension, you know, time under tension. We did that from the concentric position, and we did it from the eccentric position. Then we went to single legs. Everybody has a dominant side and a non-dominant side. So really what the purpose of that, you start with your weak side first, and then you go to your dominant side. And what you're really working for with doing unilateral movements is over time, you diminish the lack of symmetry between dominant and non-dominant so that visually it looks like your body parts are all the same size. From there, we went to dead stops. What dead stops are, they are more like a maximal lift, nothing more than 10 reps, and we did a 10-8-6 sequence where he does the full range of motion, he lets it down 3 seconds into the negative, and then he lets the weights touch one another so that he's using no momentum whatsoever. All right, and then to keep the level of intensity high, he only gets a 10-second rest. And then from there, we move to leg press. We've thoroughly pre-exhausted the quads on the leg extension. Then we come to the leg press, a compound movements where his glutes and his hamstrings can help assist and to create a greater overload. Once again, the sequence, we do a 30 rep maximum to a 20 rep maximum. Now for this, we did all static holds, creating greater tension, where in the peak eccentric part of the movement, he does a hold for 3 seconds, 6 times, and then 10 reps. All right, and then with every set, the goal is to try to add weight if the person can elevate like that. You don't necessarily have to do that. Today we didn't do that for Eddie because by the time he got here, his legs were pretty full and pretty pre-exhausted, so we stayed at a static weight, and we did a static hold of 6 and 10, 5 and 8, 4 and 6, 4 and 4. And then from there, we unload the weight, and then he does, once again, a unilateral movement, single leg presses, set of 20, set of 15, and set of 10, going back and forth. And then what I do is I load the weight back up to the peak amount that he can handle, and then he does 10 reps. And once again, it's slow on the eccentric. We didn't do any holds, but a nice controlled movement, no jerking, no tugging, flexing the muscle up and down. The only time he rests was the time for me to add weight. And then he did 8 reps. I added 90 more pounds, and he did 6 reps. And that basically completed the whole of his quad workout. And then from there, we went to hamstrings. For this particular workout, for hamstrings, started with a seated leg curl. Did it for this particular workout because our primary was quads, our secondary was hamstrings. So you'll notice the volume that he's doing for hamstrings isn't as great as quads. On another workout, we would probably start with hamstrings, and we might start with lying hamstrings so that it's easier to do a single leg lying hamstring than it is a seated. So if you notice on this format, we started out with the same sequence, a set of 30, then a set of 20. We also went into our progressives, progressive from the concentric position and progressive from the eccentric position. That's the partial reps into full reps. Then from there, we went right back into the static holds. We did a 6 and 10, 5 and 8, 4 and 6, 4 and 4. And then we went right into the dead stops, just as we did. And if you notice how he's doing them, slight pause in the peak concentric movement. He let it up easy, brought the weight to a complete stop, paused a second, and did it again. And once again, we did the 10-8-6 format. Once we completed that, we went from seated to single leg. Some of the biggest mistakes people make, two things people make with the hamstring. One, they don't do the full range of the motion, especially getting into the eccentric portion of it. The next thing, if you notice, he has his toe pointed down. What happens is a lot of people will have that toe up at 90 degrees at the ankle, and they'll pull the first third of the movement with their calf. If you also noticed, you never really saw his hips move. Well, when you start moving your hips, you start pulling with the hip and then the calf, and then your hamstring is only working about 30% of the movement. If you look at Eddie when he's going through his quarter turns and he hits his side chest shot, his hamstrings look almost as big as his quads do. And when you develop your hamstrings, they get what's called the hang. Well, people who have a hang, it's not just genetics, it's their ability to relax their hips, keep their calf out of the movement. You point the toe without really flexing the calf, you relax and you pull that hamstring. Another mistake a lot of people make, they don't do a lot of volume with their hamstrings. Actually, there are people out there, most people do more sets for their biceps than they do for their hamstrings, and it shows. The worst thing for a competitor is you turn to the side. If you don't have proper hamstring development, you disappear. It looks like somebody chopped half your leg off. Hamstrings, if done properly, they will feel like they're about to spasm. It's extremely uncomfortable. If you notice, he started at 30 pounds. The heaviest he ever went was 50. Because that's all you really need for this particular movement. Seated hamstring curls, you can go a little bit heavier. Also heavier movements you can do with hamstring or straight leg deadlifts. But if you're doing your lying curls correctly, your vertical leg curls correctly, you're just not going to handle a lot of weight, and it's really not necessary, not for a hamstring. It's a two belly muscle. It's very simply constructed, you know, attached into the knee and into the hip, and it can pull very easy. So this isn't an exercise. Hamstrings are a muscle where technique is more important than weight, and then range of motion. So on this one, he did 30, 20, 15, no rest. He went back and forth between them all, and that really completed his hamstring workout for this day. All right, 17 sets, 206 reps in 18 minutes.
That's it?
And well, you're getting tired. Total time for the workout was 41 minutes.
We're done?
Yeah, we're done. What, you want more? Yeah, 38 sets, 558 reps, and 41 minutes. That's pretty good. Hopefully for these next ones, though, you'll be in better shape. And okay?